Stop. You haven't subscribed to the channel yet. Subscribe now. We have new stories every day. Now, let's go. The sharp ring of my phone cuts through the silence of our living room. I glance at the clock. 7:30 p.m. on a Friday. Setting down my tablet, where I've been reviewing plans for the new downtown high-rise, I reach for my phone. Sarah's name flashes on the screen. "Hey, Han. What's up?" I answer, trying to keep my tone light, despite the knot forming in my stomach. "Andrew, I'm heading out to that party I told you about. The one Jason's throwing for his new club opening," Sarah says, her voice tinged with excitement. I frown, recalling our earlier conversation. "Sarah, I thought we agreed you'd skip this one. We were supposed to have dinner together tonight, remember?" "Oh, come on, Andrew. This is work. I can't just bail on a client's event," she protests. "Besides, it's been ages since we've done anything fun. One of us should at least get out, right?" The knot in my stomach tightens. I don't know, Sar. Something about this Jason guy just doesn't sit right with me. "Can you send someone else from your team?" Sarah's sigh crackles through the phone. "Andrew, we've been over this. Jason's a big client, and I need to be there personally. It's just business, okay? Don't wait up for me." Before I can respond, the line goes dead. I stare at the phone, a mixture of frustration and worry washing over me. 8 years of marriage, and lately it feels like we're drifting further apart with each passing day. I lean back in my chair, running a hand through my hair. The house suddenly feels too quiet, too empty. My eyes land on a framed photo on the mantel. Sarah and me on our honeymoon. All smiles and starry-eyed love. When did things start to change? Shaking off the melancholy, I force myself to focus on work. The Richards project isn't going to manage itself, and I've got a presentation for the investors on Monday. I lose myself in blueprints and budget reports, trying to ignore the nagging voice in the back of my mind that whispers something's not right. Hours tick by. The house grows darker as night settles in, broken only by the glow of my laptop screen. I check my phone periodically, but there are no messages from Sarah. At midnight, I finally give up on getting any more work done and head to bed alone. Sleep eludes me. I toss and turn, my mind conjuring up images of Sarah laughing with Jason, drinking, dancing. I tell myself I'm being paranoid, that Sarah would never. But the doubt lingers, an unwelcome bedfellow in the darkness. Just as I'm finally drifting off, my phone buzzes loudly on the nightstand. Groggily, I fumble for it, squinting at the bright screen. It's a message from Sarah's number, but as I read it, ice floods my veins. "Hey man, your wife is really enjoying herself with this guy. She's a wild one." Attached is a video. My hand shaking, I press play. The image is dark and shaky, but I can make out enough. Sarah, her head thrown back in exhilaration, straddling a man I assume is Jason. His voice, slurred with alcohol, taunts me through the speakers. "John, don't send that to my cuckolded husband." Sarah's voice follows, a mixture of panic and drunken laughter. The phone slips from my numb fingers, clattering to the floor. I sit there, frozen, as my world crumbles around me. The love of my life, my partner, my best friend. How could she do this? Rage bubbles up inside me, threatening to explode. I want to drive to Jason's place right now, to confront them, to make them pay. But a small, rational part of my brain holds me back. No, that's not the way. If I want true revenge, I need to be smart about this. Taking a deep breath, I force myself to think. First things first. Evidence. I save the video to my phone and back it up to the cloud. Then, fighting back the bile rising in my throat, I watch it again, looking for any details that might be useful later. Next, I draft an email to Thomas Powell, the best divorce attorney in Portland. We've worked together on a few construction contracts, and I know he's a shark in the courtroom. I explain the situation briefly and request an urgent meeting. By the time I finish, the first rays of dawn are creeping through the curtains. I hear a car pull up outside. Sarah's back. Steeling myself, I get up and head downstairs. I'm standing in the doorway when Sarah stumbles in. Her hair is a mess, her makeup smeared, and she reeks of alcohol and something else. My stomach churns as I realize it's probably Jason's cologne. "Don't come in," I say, my voice cold and steady despite the turmoil inside me. Sarah blinks, confusion crossing her face. "Andrew, what are you doing up so early? Is everything okay?" I don't answer. Instead, I hold up my phone. The damning video paused on the screen. Sarah's eyes widen, all color draining from her face. "I know everything," I say, each word dropping like a stone between us. "You're not coming back into this house." "Andrew, please," Sarah cries, reaching for me. I step back, keeping her at arm's length. "I didn't mean it. I was drunk." "Doesn't matter," I cut her off. "You made your choice. Now live with it." Tears stream down Sarah's face as she begins to sob. "Andrew, I'm sorry. It was a mistake. Please, let me explain." But I've heard enough. Without another word, I shut the door in her face, turning the lock with a decisive click. Through the wood, I can hear her crying, begging me to let her in. I stand there, my forehead pressed against the door, battling the urge to forgive her, to take her in my arms, and pretend this never happened. But I can't. The trust is shattered, and no amount of tears or apologies can piece it back together. I spend the next few hours in a daze, mechanically going through the motions of my morning routine. Shower, shave, dress for work. But as I'm about to leave, I realize I can't face the office today. I call in sick for the first time in years, telling my assistant to reschedule my meetings. Instead, I drive to a coffee shop across town, far from our usual haunts. As I sip my black coffee, bitter and strong, I start making calls. First, to a locksmith to change the locks on the house. Then to our bank, freezing our joint accounts. Finally, to Kathleen Brown, a private investigator I've worked with on a few cases of suspected theft on my construction sites. "Kathleen, it's Andrew Coleman. I have a job for you, if you're interested. It's personal." Kathleen's voice is professional, betraying no surprise at the nature of my request. "I'm listening, Andrew. What do you need?" I take a deep breath, steeling myself. "I need you to gather evidence on my wife, Sarah. She's been unfaithful. I want to know everything. Who she's seeing, where they meet, how long it's been going on. And I need dirt on the other man, too. His name's Jason Gibson." "I see," Kathleen says, her tone softening slightly. "I'm sorry you're going through this, Andrew. I'll get right on it. You'll have my initial report within 48 hours. As I hang up, a text comes through from Thomas Powell, agreeing to meet me this afternoon. Things are moving quickly, almost too quickly for me to process. But I know I can't afford to slow down, to let emotion cloud my judgment. Sarah made her choice, and now I have to make mine. The rest of the morning passes in a blur of phone calls and emails. I contact our friends and family, calmly explaining the situation. Their reactions range from shock to outrage to disbelief. Sarah's sister, Becky, calls me in tears, apologizing for her sister's behavior and offering her support. "I always thought you two were so perfect together," she sobs. "How could Sarah do this?" I have no answer for her. I'm still asking myself the same question. By the time I walk into Thomas's office that afternoon, I feel hollowed out, empty. But as soon as I sit down across from him, a new emotion takes hold: determination. Thomas leans forward, his eyes sharp behind his glasses. "All right, Andrew, tell me everything." And so I do. I lay out the events of the past 24 hours in clinical detail, showing him the video, explaining about hiring Kathleen. When I finish, Thomas nods slowly. "Well, Andrew, I won't sugarcoat it. This is a mess, but you've done well so far. Gathering evidence, freezing accounts, that's good. We can work with this." He spends the next hour outlining our strategy, explaining Oregon's divorce laws, and what I can expect in terms of asset division. By the time we're done, I feel a glimmer of hope for the first time since seeing that video. One more thing, Thomas says as I'm about to leave. I know you're hurting right now, but try to keep a level head. Don't do anything rash that could jeopardize our case. Let the law work for you. I nod, grateful for his advice. Thanks, Thomas. I'll do my best. As I drive home, my phone buzzes with a text from Kathleen. Got some interesting info on your wife and Mr. Gibson. Call me when you can. My heart races as I pull over to make the call. What have you found? I ask without preamble. Kathleen's voice is grim. Well, it seems this wasn't a one-time thing. I've got evidence of at least 3 other meetings between Sarah and Jason over the past month. Always at his place. Always when you were working late. I grip the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turn white. Anything else? Yeah, and you're not going to like it. Jason's been seeing multiple women, not just Sarah. I've got photos of him with at least 2 others in the past week alone. A bitter laugh escapes me. So not only did my wife cheat on me, but the guy she cheated with is cheating on her too. Fantastic. I'm sorry, Andrew, Kathleen says softly. I'll keep digging, see what else I can find. I'll have a full report for you by tomorrow. I thank her and hang up, feeling numb. Part of me wants to call Sarah, to confront her with this new information. But what would be the point? Nothing she could say would change what she's done. Instead, I drive home, my mind racing with plans. By the time I pull into my driveway, I know what I have to do next. I spend the evening composing emails, attaching the video and the information Kathleen uncovered. I send them to Sarah's boss, Michael Bell, and to her most important clients. It's a calculated move, one that will likely destroy her career in event planning. Part of me feels guilty, but I push that feeling aside. She brought this on herself. As I hit send on the last email, my phone rings. It's Sarah. I let it go to voicemail, listening as her tearful voice fills the quiet room. Andrew, please, I know you're angry, and you have every right to be, but we need to talk. What happened with Jason? It was a mistake, a horrible, stupid mistake. I love you, Andrew. Please, just give me a chance to explain. Call me back. Please. I delete the message without a second thought. There's nothing left to explain, nothing left to say. Tomorrow, I'll file for divorce. Tomorrow, I'll start the process of untangling our lives. But tonight, I allow myself to grieve for the marriage I thought we had, for the future we'll never share. As I climb into our bed, my bed now, alone, I wonder if I'll ever be able to trust someone again. The pain is raw, a gaping wound in my chest. But underneath it, a spark of anger burns. Sarah chose to throw away our marriage for a fling with Jason. Now she'll have to live with the consequences. I close my eyes, exhaustion finally overtaking me. Tomorrow is another day, another battle. But for now, I'll let the darkness claim me, hoping for a few hours of dreamless sleep before I have to face my new reality. The shrill ring of my phone jerks me awake. Sunlight streams through the curtains, and for a moment, I forget. Then reality crashes back, and the weight of yesterday settles on my chest like a lead blanket. I grab my phone, seeing Kathleen's name on the screen. Clearing my throat, I answer. Morning, Kathleen. What have you got for me? Andrew. I've got something big. Can you meet me at Annie's diner in an hour? Her tone sends a jolt of adrenaline through me. I'll be there. I dress quickly, my mind racing. What could Kathleen have found? Part of me dreads knowing more, but I push that feeling aside. Knowledge is power, and right now, I need all the power I can get. Annie's is busy with the morning crowd when I arrive. I spot Kathleen in a corner booth, a thick manila folder in front of her. She stands as I approach, her face grim. Andrew, she says, shaking my hand. How are you holding up? I shrug, sliding into the booth. As well as can be expected. What have you found? Kathleen opens the folder, spreading out photos and documents. It's worse than we thought. Sarah's been seeing Jason for at least 3 months. I've got receipts, hotel bookings, even some intimate photos. My stomach churns as I look at the evidence of my wife's betrayal. Christ, I mutter, running a hand over my face. Anything else? Kathleen nods, her expression hardening. Jason's been playing her. He's got at least 4 other women on rotation, including his assistant and one of Sarah's clients. I let out a bitter laugh. So she threw away our marriage for a guy who's cheating on her too. Unbelievable. There's more, Kathleen says, lowering her voice. I did some digging into Jason's finances. He's not as well off as he pretends to be. His new club, it's leveraged to the hilt. If it doesn't succeed, he's looking at bankruptcy. I lean back, processing this information. So he's using Sarah for her connections in the event planning world. Kathleen nods. Exactly. And there's a good chance he's skimming money from the club to fund his lifestyle. I've got some leads, but I need more time to confirm. Do it, I say, my resolve hardening. Whatever it costs. I want everything you can get on both of them. As I leave the diner, my phone buzzes with a text from Thomas. Need to see you ASAP. New developments. An hour later, I'm sitting in Thomas's office, still reeling from Kathleen's revelations. Thomas looks up from his computer, his expression a mix of satisfaction and concern. Andrew, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is, with the evidence we have, we can push for a favorable divorce settlement. Sarah's infidelity gives us a strong position. I nod, feeling a glimmer of hope. And the bad news. Thomas sighs. Sarah's lawyer reached out. They're pushing for mediation, trying to keep this out of court. They're offering a 50-50 split of assets. No, I say firmly, shaking my head. After what she did, she doesn't deserve half. I agree, Thomas says, leaning forward, which is why I think we should counter with our own offer. Given the circumstances, I believe we can push for you to keep the house and most of your assets. We might even be able to get her to pay alimony. I raise an eyebrow. Alimony? Can we really swing that? Thomas grins, a predatory gleam in his eye. With what we have, absolutely. Sarah's actions have not only violated your marriage vows, but also potentially damaged her own career. We can argue that her infidelity has caused you emotional distress and impacted your ability to work effectively. As Thomas outlines our strategy, I feel a mix of emotions. Part of me still loves Sarah, still wants to protect her. But the larger part, the part that's been hurt and betrayed, wants justice. Do it, I say finally. Let's take her for everything we can. The next few weeks pass in a blur of legal meetings, phone calls, and sleepless nights. I throw myself into work, grateful for the distraction. The Richards project is moving forward, and I spend long hours at the construction site, overseeing every detail. It's during one of these late nights that I get the call from Kathleen. Andrew, I've got it. Proof that Jason's been embezzling funds from the club. And there's more. Remember how I said he was sleeping with one of Sarah's clients? Turns out that client is the wife of a state senator. I whistle low. That's big, Kathleen. What do we do with this? That's up to you, Andrew. But if I were you, I'd use it. This could sink Jason's entire operation. I thank her and hang up, my mind racing. With this information, I could destroy Jason completely. But is that what I want? Do I want to sink to their level? As I drive home, I make my decision. I may not use all the information, but I'll make sure Sarah knows exactly who she threw away our marriage for. The next morning, I call Sarah. It's the first time we've spoken directly since that night. Andrew. Her voice is small, hesitant. I'm glad you called. Can we talk? That's why I'm calling, I say, keeping my voice neutral. Meet me at the house in an hour. There are some things we need to discuss. An hour later, I'm sitting in our My living room when the doorbell rings. I take a deep breath, steeling myself before opening the door. Sarah stands there, looking smaller somehow. Her eyes are red-rimmed, her normally perfectly styled hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. For a moment, my resolve wavers. Then I remember the video. Jason's mocking voice, Sarah's drunken laughter, and I harden my heart. "Come in," I say, stepping aside. Sarah enters hesitantly, looking around the familiar space as if seeing it for the first time. "Andrew." I cut her off. "Before you say anything, there are some things you need to know." I lead her to the dining room table, where I've laid out the evidence Kathleen gathered. Sarah's eyes widen as she takes in the photos, the receipts, the bank statements. "What is all this?" she whispers. "This," I say, my voice hard, "is the man you threw away our marriage for. Did you know he's been sleeping with at least 4 other women, including your client, Mrs. Robinson?" Sarah gasps, her hand flying to her mouth. "No, that can't be true." "It is. And there's more. Jason's club. It's on the verge of bankruptcy. He's been using you, Sarah, using your connections, your clients. He's even been embezzling money from the club." Tears stream down Sarah's face as she looks at the evidence. "Andrew, I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know any of this." "Would it have mattered if you did?" I ask, unable to keep the bitterness from my voice. "You still chose him over me, over our marriage." Sarah looks up at me, her eyes pleading. "It was a mistake, Andrew. The biggest mistake of my life. I was feeling lost, trapped. Jason made me feel excited, desirable. But it wasn't real. What we had, what we have, that's real." I shake my head, taking a step back. "Had, Sarah. What we had. There is no we anymore. Please," she begs, reaching for me. "We can fix this. We can go to counseling, work through this. I love you, Andrew. I've never stopped loving you." For a moment, I'm tempted, the familiar scent of her perfume, the softness in her eyes. But then I remember the video, Jason's mocking tone. "No," I say firmly. "We can't fix this. You broke us, Sarah. And now you have to live with the consequences." I hand her a folder. "These are the divorce papers. My lawyer will be in touch with yours to discuss the settlement." Sarah takes the folder with shaking hands. "Settlement? What do you mean?" I say, my voice cold, "that I'll be keeping the house and most of our assets. Given your indiscretions and the potential damage to your career, we'll also be pushing for alimony." Sarah's face pales. "Alimony? But Andrew, that's not fair. I made a mistake, yes, but—" "Fair?" I interrupt, my anger finally boiling over. "Was it fair when you slept with Jason? Was it fair when you let him record you, mocking me? Was any of this fair, Sarah?" She flinches at my words, fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she whispers. "I'm so sorry." I take a deep breath, reining in my emotions. "Your sorry doesn't change anything. Sign the papers, Sarah. It's over." As Sarah leaves, clutching the divorce papers to her chest, I feel a mix of emotions, relief, anger, sadness, and underneath it all, a lingering love that I know will take time to fade. But I'm certain I've made the right choice. There's no going back now. The next few weeks are a whirlwind of legal proceedings. True to his word, Thomas pushes hard in the negotiations. Sarah's lawyer, faced with the mountain of evidence we've gathered, can do little but damage control. In the end, we get everything we asked for. I keep the house, most of our assets, and Sarah agrees to pay alimony. It's a crushing defeat for her, but I can't bring myself to feel guilty. She made her choices, and now she has to live with them. As I sign the final divorce papers, Thomas claps me on the shoulder. "Congratulations, Andrew. It's done." I nod, feeling oddly empty. "Thanks, Thomas, for everything." That night I sit alone in the house that was once ours, now mine. The silence is deafening. I pour myself a glass of whiskey, toasting to what? The end of my marriage. The start of a new chapter. My phone buzzes with a text. It's from an unknown number, but I recognize the area code as Jason's. Hey, man, heard about the divorce. Tough break. But hey, at least Sarah's free now, right? Maybe we can all grab a drink sometime. No hard feelings. I stare at the message, incredulous. Is he serious? After everything he's done, he thinks we can just grab a drink. Before I can respond, another text comes through, an invitation to a party. Jason's new club is having its grand opening next week. I laugh bitterly, shaking my head at his audacity. Then an idea strikes me. Maybe it's time to show Jason exactly who he's been messing with. I shoot off a quick reply. Sure, I'd love to come to the opening. See you there. As I set down my phone, a smile spreads across my face. It's not over yet, not by a long shot. Jason thinks he's won, that he's gotten away with everything. But he has no idea what's coming. I pick up my phone again, dialing Kathleen's number. Kathleen, it's Andrew. Remember that information you got on Jason's embezzlement? I think it's time we put it to use. As I outline my plan to Kathleen, I feel a surge of energy. For the first time in weeks, I'm looking forward to something. Jason wanted to play games. Fine. Let's play. The game is just beginning, and I intend to win. The night of Jason's club opening arrives, and I stand in front of my bedroom mirror, adjusting my tie. The face staring back at me is harder, older somehow. These past few months have changed me in ways I'm only beginning to understand. My phone buzzes, a text from Kathleen. Everything's set. You sure about this? I take a deep breath, typing back. Absolutely. Let's finish this. The drive to Jason's club feels surreal. Neon lights blur past as I navigate downtown Portland's busy streets. A line of people snakes along the sidewalk as I pull up to the valet stand. Music pulses from inside, the bass so loud I can feel it in my chest. As I hand my keys to the valet, a familiar voice calls out. Andrew. Andrew Coleman. I turn to see Chloe Parker, a teacher I met at a charity event last month. She's stunning in a sleek black dress, her blonde hair cascading over her shoulders. Chloe, I say, genuinely surprised. I didn't expect to see you here. She laughs, the sound light and carefree. My roommate dragged me out, said I needed to live a little. What about you? I wouldn't have pegged this as your scene. I force a smile. Just checking out the competition. Construction business, you know. Well, she says, linking her arm through mine, since we're both here, why don't we go in together? For a moment, I hesitate. This wasn't part of the plan. But Chloe's warm smile, and the prospect of not facing this alone, wins out. I'd like that, I say, leading her toward the entrance. Inside, the club is a sensory overload. Strobe lights flash, music blares, and the smell of alcohol and sweat hangs heavy in the air. We make our way to the bar, where I order us both drinks. So, Chloe shouts over the music, "How have you been?" I heard about. Well, you know. I take a long sip of my whiskey. It's been tough, I admit, but I'm getting through it, one day at a time, right? Chloe squeezes my arm sympathetically. You're strong, Andrew. You'll come out of this even better. Before I can respond, I spot him. Jason, holding court in a VIP section, surrounded by beautiful women and fawning sycophants. My hand tightens around my glass. Andrew. Chloe's voice snaps me back. You okay? I nod, forcing a smile. Yeah, just thought I saw someone I knew. Listen, I need to take care of something. Will you be all right for a few minutes? She nods, looking concerned. Of course, I'll be right here. I make my way through the crowd, my eyes locked on Jason. As I approach, he looks up, his face splitting into a grin that doesn't reach his eyes. Andrew, my man. He calls out, arms wide. You made it. Come join us. I plaster on a fake smile, stepping into the VIP area. Jason, quite a place you've got here. He preens, gesturing around. Isn't it? Best club in Portland, mark my words. Drink? I accept the offered champagne, clinking glasses with him. To success, I say, my voice dripping with false sincerity. Jason downs his drink, oblivious to the tension. So, Andrew, no hard feelings about the whole Sarah thing, right? These things happen, you know. Can't fight chemistry. I feel my jaw clench but maintain my composure. No hard feelings, I lie smoothly. In fact, I wanted to thank you. Jason raises an eyebrow. Thank me. I nod, leaning in conspiratorially. You opened my eyes. Man, made me realize what I was missing out on. In fact, I gesture toward Chloe at the bar. See that blonde? She's my date for tonight. Never would have had the guts to ask her out if I was still with Sarah. Jason's eyes widen, a flash of jealousy crossing his face. Well, didn't know you had it in you, Andrew. Good for you, man. Just then, a commotion breaks out near the entrance. I hide a smile, knowing exactly what's happening. What the hell? Jason mutters, standing up. I put a hand on his shoulder, keeping him in place. Might want to stay here, Jason. Things are about to get interesting. Before he can respond, 2 police officers push through the crowd, followed by a man in a suit whom I recognize as Detective Cooper, the contact Kathleen set me up with. Jason Gibson. Detective Cooper calls out, his voice carrying over the music. Jason pales, looking around wildly. What's going on? The detective approaches, his face grim. Mr. Gibson, we have a warrant for your arrest on charges of embezzlement and fraud. What? Jason sputters, backing away. This is ridiculous. You can't. We can and we are, Detective Cooper says, nodding to the uniformed officers. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. As the officers cuff Jason, his eyes lock onto mine. Realization dawns on his face, quickly followed by fury. You, he spits. You did this. How? I shrug, allowing myself a small, satisfied smile. Let's just say you should be more careful about who you deceived, Jason. The officers start to lead him away, but he struggles, lunging toward me. You'll regret this, Coleman. I'll ruin you. I stand my ground, looking him straight in the eye. No, Jason. You ruined yourself. I just made sure everyone else saw it too. As Jason is hauled away, the club erupts into chaos. People are shouting, pushing to see what's happening. In the midst of it all, I spot a familiar face. Sarah, standing near the bar, her expression a mix of shock and, is that relief? Our eyes meet across the crowded room. For a moment, we just stare at each other. Then slowly I nod. She returns the gesture, a silent understanding passing between us. It's over. Really, truly over. I make my way back to Chloe, who looks bewildered by the commotion. Andrew, what on earth just happened? She asks, her eyes wide. I take a deep breath, suddenly feeling exhausted. It's a long story. How about we get out of here, and I'll explain over coffee. Chloe nods, taking my offered arm. As we step out into the cool night air, I feel a weight lift off my shoulders. The revenge I thought I wanted doesn't taste as sweet as I imagined, but there's a sense of closure that brings its own kind of peace. The next few weeks pass in a blur. Jason's arrest makes headlines, and the fallout is spectacular. The club is shuttered, investors are clamoring for restitution, and Jason's facing years in prison if convicted. I throw myself into work, grateful for the distraction. The Richards project is coming along nicely, and I've even started preliminary talks about a new development on the outskirts of town. It's during one of these late nights at the office that I get the call. It's Sarah. Andrew, her voice is small, hesitant. I hope it's okay that I'm calling. I lean back in my chair, surprised by the lack of anger I feel at hearing her voice. It's okay, Sar. What can I do for you? She takes a shaky breath. I wanted to thank you for exposing Jason. I know you didn't do it for me, but, well, it opened my eyes to a lot of things. I'm glad. I say, and I mean it. How are you holding up? It's been hard, she admits. I lost my job, most of my clients. My reputation is, well, you can imagine. But I'm working through it, trying to rebuild. I nod, even though she can't see me. That's good, Sarah. I hope it works out for you. There's a pause, heavy with unspoken words. Finally, she speaks again. Andrew, I know it doesn't change anything, but I truly am sorry for everything. You didn't deserve any of this. I close my eyes, feeling a mixture of sadness and relief. I know, Sarah. I believe you. Do you think, she hesitates, do you think we could ever be friends again? Someday. The question catches me off guard. I think about it for a moment before answering. I don't know, Sarah. Maybe someday, but not now. We both need time to heal. I understand, she says softly. Thank you for talking to me, Andrew. Take care of yourself. As I hang up, I'm surprised to find my cheeks wet with tears. I wipe them away, feeling a strange mix of sadness and closure. It's not forgiveness, not yet, but it's a start. The next day, I decide to take a rare day off. I drive out to the mountains, hiking a trail that Sarah and I used to love. As I reach the summit, looking out over the sprawling landscape of Portland below, I feel a sense of peace settle over me. My phone buzzes in my pocket. It's a text from Chloe. Hope you're enjoying your day off. Dinner tonight. I smile, typing back a quick, absolutely. As I start my descent, I reflect on the past few months. The pain, the anger, the desire for revenge. It's all still there, but muted now, like a wound that's finally starting to heal. I think about Sarah, wondering if she's found the peace she was looking for. I think about Jason, hoping he's learned something from all this. And I think about myself, about the man I was and the man I'm becoming. The sun is setting as I reach my car, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and pink. I stand there for a moment, just taking it all in. Then, with a deep breath, I get in and start the engine. As I drive back toward the city, toward dinner with Chloe and whatever the future holds, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time. Hope. The house is quiet when I return home, but it no longer feels empty. I shower and change, getting ready for my evening with Chloe. As I'm about to leave, my phone buzzes with an email notification. It's from Thomas. Final divorce papers filed. It's officially over. Congratulations, Andrew. Here's to new beginnings. I stare at the message for a long moment, a complex mix of emotions swirling inside me. Then, with a deep breath, I type out a response. Thanks, Thomas, for everything. The drive to the restaurant is peaceful. Portland's skyline glitters in the distance, a city full of possibilities. I find myself looking forward to dinner, to Chloe's company, in a way I haven't looked forward to anything in months. Chloe's waiting outside the restaurant when I arrive, a warm smile lighting up her face. There you are. I was starting to think you stood me up. I can't help but smile back. Never. Sorry I'm late. Got caught up in some personal business. She links her arm through mine as we enter the restaurant. Anything you want to talk about? I consider for a moment. Actually, yeah. I think I do. Over dinner, I tell Chloe everything. About Sarah, about Jason, about the revenge plot, and its aftermath. She listens attentively, her hand occasionally reaching across the table to squeeze mine in support. When I finish, she sits back, taking it all in. Wow, Andrew. That's a lot. How are you feeling now? I take a sip of wine, considering the question. Honestly, better than I have in a long time. It's like I can finally breathe again, you know. Chloe nods, her eyes soft with understanding. I'm glad. You deserve happiness, Andrew. And for what it's worth, I think you handled everything with a lot of grace. I feel warmth spread through me at her words. Thank you, Chloe. That means a lot. As we finish our meal, Chloe suggests a walk through the nearby park. The night is cool and clear, stars twinkling overhead. We stroll in comfortable silence for a while, our hands brushing occasionally. Finally, Chloe speaks. So, what's next for Andrew Coleman? I chuckle. Good question. Work is going well. The Richards project is almost finished, and I've got some exciting new developments in the pipeline. That's great, Chloe says, but I meant personally. What do you want, Andrew? I stop walking, turning to face her. Her eyes shine in the moonlight, full of warmth and possibility. Suddenly, I know exactly what I want. This, I say softly, leaning in to kiss her. The kiss is gentle, tentative at first, then deepening as Chloe responds. When we finally pull apart, we're both a little breathless. Wow, Chloe whispers, a smile playing on her lips. I grin, feeling lighter than I have in months. Yeah, wow. As we continue our walk, hand in hand this time, I feel a sense of contentment wash over me. The future stretches out before us, full of promise and potential. Back at my house, Chloe and I sit on the porch, talking late into the night. We share stories, dreams, and fears. It's easy, comfortable, in a way I'd forgotten relationships could be. As the first light of dawn begins to paint the sky, Chloe yawns, stretching. I should probably head home. Some of us have to teach in the morning. I nod, standing up with her. This was nice, really nice. Chloe smiles, leaning in to give me a soft kiss. It was. Let's do it again soon. As I watch her drive away, I'm struck by a realization. The house behind me, once a symbol of my shattered marriage, now feels like a place of new beginnings. I head inside, making a beeline for the kitchen and a much-needed cup of coffee. As the rich aroma fills the air, my phone buzzes with a text. It's from Kathleen. Heard the divorce is final. How are you holding up? I type back a quick response. Better than I expected. Thanks for everything, Kathleen. Couldn't have done it without you. As I sip my coffee, I wander into the living room. My eyes land on a framed photo. I haven't had the heart to take it down. Sarah and me on our wedding day. For the first time in months, I can look at it without feeling that sharp stab of pain. I take the photo down, studying it for a moment. Then, with a sense of finality, I place it in a drawer. It's part of my past now. A chapter close. My phone buzzes again. This time, it's a message from Thomas. Got word from the DA. Jason's pleading guilty to avoid a trial. Looks like he's facing at least 5 years. Thought you'd want to know. I read the message twice, waiting for the surge of satisfaction I expected to feel. Instead, there's just a quiet sense of closure. Jason made his choices, and now he's facing the consequences. It's as simple as that. As I'm about to reply, another text comes through. This one's from Chloe. Can't stop thinking about last night. Dinner again this weekend. I smile, feeling a flutter of excitement. Absolutely. Can't wait. Setting my phone down, I walk to the window, looking out at the city's sprawl before me. The sun is rising, painting the sky in brilliant hues of pink and gold. It's a new day, full of possibilities. I think about everything that's happened. The betrayal, the pain, the quest for revenge. It all led me here, to this moment, and despite everything, I wouldn't change it. It's made me stronger, wiser, more appreciative of the good things in life. As I stand there, watching the city come to life, I make a silent promise to myself to let go of the past, to embrace the future, to live each day to its fullest. The road ahead won't be easy. There will be challenges, setbacks, moments of doubt. But for the first time in a long time, I'm looking forward to the journey. I raise my coffee mug in a silent toast. To new beginnings, to second chances, to life, in all its messy, complicated, beautiful glory. The future is calling, and I'm ready to answer. Thanks to everyone who took the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share your thoughts on the events in the comments below. Take care.